Arrested development, what is it? When growth stops and why it shapes everything. At the windowsill, some pain doesn't come from cruelty. It comes from absence, emotional presence, accountability, maturity, growth. Arrested development is what happens when a person's emotional growth halts at an early stage, even though their body, role, and authority continue to advance. They age, they function, they may succeed, but inwardly they remain frozen, and everyone around them feels the cost. What arrested development is? Arrested development is a stalled emotional maturation process. Experiences trauma, neglect, or chronic emotional stress. Learns that growth is unsafe. Adapts by freezing, disassociating, controlling, or avoiding. Never returns to complete the interrupted developmental task. Development doesn't just slow, it stops. They're stuck. What causes arrested development? Childhood trauma or neglect, emotionally unavailable caregivers, environments where feelings were punished or ignored, early responsibility without support, shame-based systems, including religious or authoritarian ones, survival roles learned too early, chronic fear of abandonment or failure. At some point, growth became dangerous, so the nervous system chose protection over expansion. What arrested development looks like in adults. Emotional reactions that feel childlike or disappropriate, black and white thinking, difficulty with nuance or complexity, avoidance of accountability, fragile ego when challenged, entitlement paired with insecurity, repetition of the same relational cycles, needing others to regulate their emotions, resistance to feedback, authority without emotional responsibility. They may be intelligent, they may be spiritual, they may be influential, but emotionally, they are still operating from a younger self. The core issue, incomplete developmental task, attunement, safety, mirroring, guidance, repair, control, charm, withdrawal, dominance, compliance, rigidity. Arrested development is not laziness, it is unfinished formation. How arrested development impacts relationships. Expect others to carry the emotional weight. Seek caretaking rather than partnership. Confuse authority with maturity. React to disagreement as a threat. Avoid repair. Externalize blame. Punish truth. Demand loyalty without reciprocity. One person grows, the other stays frozen, and eventually the gap becomes unbearable. Why arrested development is so harmful? Overfunction, explain, minimize themselves, wait for growth that doesn't come, absorb emotional consequences. I wasn't asking for too much. I was asking someone frozen to grow. Arrested development versus emotional immaturity. Emotional immaturity can involve gaps in skills. Arrested development involves a halted developmental stage. Without willingness, growth does not resume. Can arrested development be healed? Yes, the person recognizes the arrest. They tolerate discomfort. They allow grief for what they didn't receive. They take responsibility for impact. They submit a long-term inner work. Many do not, though, not because they are evil, but because returning to the point of arrest feels terrifying. Father speaks, my child, not everyone who is grown is mature. You are allowed to grow, even if others stay frozen. Scripture. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. When I became mature, I put away childish things. 1 Corinthians 13:11. The prudent see danger and take refuge. Proverbs 27:12. Solid food is for the mature. Hebrews 5:14. Journaling prompts. Where did I notice emotional age gaps in my relationships? What did I keep waiting for that never came? How did I compensate for someone else's lack of growth? Where did I confuse authority or age with maturity? What is God inviting me to stop carrying? What does it look like to choose growth even when others don't? Windowsill wisdom. You do not heal arrested development by loving harder. You heal yourself by choosing truth, boundaries, and forward movement. And as always, I'm praying for you. Once again, this is education and this is knowledge. You may or may not have someone in your life that you reflect and say, oh my gosh, sometimes they act just like a kid. Why do they do that? Like, why? They're older, but yet they still act so immature. And this is why. Sadly, people get stuck. They get stuck. I see it all the time. I saw it working with my kids of trauma at the alternative school, and the school, the juvenile correction center, is these kids just haven't matured. Their trauma has not been addressed. Their emotions have never been able to be processed. And so because of that, they haven't grown up. And it's really not their fault so much. Like, they're not really aware. They may be aware. Others may tell them, but they refuse to see it and listen. And, I didn't know what you do with that. I'm just simply educating you on what it is, what it looks like, and how you have to guard your own heart and how you have to protect yourself against, this sort of relationship. And it doesn't make these people bad. It doesn't make them villains. It doesn't make them anything. It's really just sad. Because you want so much for people to be healthy and to grow and to be mature and to have, healthy, good relationships with people where you can communicate. But sometimes you can't. And that's something you have to accept as well. And that's just reality. And so I hope that this is educational for you and that this has given you some insight, or that you can reflect on the journaling prompts or even on yourself. Some of these questions I look and say, where have I been stuck? I'm on my healing journey from complex trauma as well. That's not something I hide because we all have gone through things. And to be open and honest about that is when true healing comes. And so I'm not ashamed of that. It is what it is. And it's my job to heal and to navigate whatever happened to me or what I did to myself. And so it's not a good or bad kind of thing. It's a matter of fact kind of thing that says, you know what? I don't want to stay where I'm at. So if this resembles me in any way, then what can I do about it? Like, Lord, help me. And so that's where abiding and partnering with the Father comes in, is He can heal you. He can grow you up. He can mature you. And you can become healthy, even if you didn't have healthy parents. And even if you had childhood trauma, like what happened to you in the past, really to understand it and get to the root of it all is really very empowering. And it causes you to grow and gives you wisdom and knowledge to help others. And so life is just a classroom. And so this is learning. And I'm praying for you. Have a good day.